Since his last game, LeBron James was listed as questionable again for one of the biggest games of the year. And with 9 games to go, there's not a lot of room for error. Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans are right on the Lakers' heels, and it looks like B.I. is going to return to the lineup today. There's a lot riding on this next week. The Lakers and Pelicans meet twice in the next 5 days. Tip-off in New Orleans this afternoon is coming up at 4 o'clock. As we say hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm Allie Clifton, joined by the one and only Hall of Famer, Big Game James Worthy, 7-time champ Big Shot Robert Horry, Mike Trudell, Mike Bresnahan will join us here in a minute. But before we get into the Lakers, Big Game, I know it's a big game going on right now, so we don't have to touch on this one per se, but you had a bet from the last game. What's the latest on that one?
Yeah, right
John
now
Ireland?
I'm batting 1,000. You know, if things work out against the game against St. Peter's. But I had a bet with John Ireland, UCLA grad, North Carolina versus UCLA, and I won the bet. So the loser has to caddy for one hole, and he has to wear that famous Masters white jumpsuit. So. I'll be figuring out a way to make one hole the longest day I could possibly make it. I'm going to be hitting balls way over there and say, John, could you go get that? And could you get me, you know, yeah, it's going to be so much fun. But no, John's a good sport. I'm 2-0 against him. But we have another UCLA. Tim, you know who you are, Tim. Gonna get you in one of those jumpsuits too.
This is you right now, currently,
yeah.
With a half to go.
Yeah, get that cheek on.
Oh, March Madness.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have to
baby.
love it.
It's right upon us.
Well, you know what else is upon us, guys?
What's that?
It's a big day. Today's matchup in the Big Easy. It's kind of a big deal, in case you didn't know. Lakers just a half a game ahead of the Pelicans in the standings at 31-42. These two teams will face off twice in the next 4 games. And don't look now, but the Spurs are now just a game back after beating the Pelicans yesterday. So, mentioned it, Lakers only a half a game up. We've talked about it a lot this season, whether it's a moment, a situation, a response game, etc. This is what's going to show you what you are made of, right? We've used that line a lot. I don't think there's a bigger opportunity than now. How do you not get up for this one, Big Game?
Yeah, it's as tight as that is right there at the bottom, and the Spurs kind of, you know, looking like they're interested. Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, you know, we use that word trending in the right direction, and they kind of have, but you said it, Allie, now is when, you know, the rubber meets the road, and you see what you're made of, because you don't have a lot of time left. The moment is now. And, you know, you've gone through a lot as a team, trying to connect, trying to get it together, but all that is behind you now. So all you have what's in front of you, and if you don't take care of business, you know, it'll be sayonara.
There will be no business if you don't take care of it.
We'll be preparing for the summertime. And the weird thing is, I know we always talk about it in this studio, how, you know, you need to take a look at yourself in the mirror. And when Stanley finally came out and said that's what everybody said they need to go back and do, I was like, okay, why y'all just not saying this? You know, this is something you should have said from day one. But I really appreciate the fact that they say, okay, we're locked in. So now that you're locked in, show us what you made of. Show us what's the team that we want to get to the playoffs and do some damage in the playoffs. Do the unexpected. Go out there and beat people, because nobody is thinking this Lakers team is going to do anything. So right now, you have the advantage. So use that to your advantage and go out and dominate.
What better situation, too, because you imagine it's going to be a playoff-like atmosphere in New Orleans and everything from the outside looking in on this matchup. But what better way to go into it with LeBron James, Big Game, in terms of the team as a whole, back in the lineup? Obviously has not played since Monday against Cleveland.
Yeah, and, you know, he's had a nice rest. And, you know, strategically, you know, he took that game off, you know, because he had a little soreness in his knee. He's been paying close attention to that. But probably knowing Brandon Ingram was probably going to try to come back, too, in a big game in New Orleans. And so LeBron, you know, has calculated his body and when he's 100%. And, you know, look, this is a great time for him to take that game and add on those extra days that he had. Good strategy.
It's time to push. You know, LeBron is is he's very strategic in the moves that he makes. And I think he's looking at this game now and saying, hey, there's two things that we need to happen right now. We need to win and win again, because you got to play this team in a couple more days. You playing, this team is fighting for you. And then we all know the San Antonio Spurs for years have been that team that's always quietly creeping in, sticking their ugly head where it doesn't belong. And right now they're in that spot to try to get to that 10th or 9th spot. And I think LeBron knows that, because we always talk about his greatness is his legacy. He doesn't want to have this stain on it saying, oh, you didn't make the playoffs when you had Russell Westbrook, you had AD. So I think he's going to put them on his shoulders, on his back, and go out and do some damage.
34-9-6 in the month of March. It's 11 games, 35 or more over his last 3 on 5 days rest. You'll love to hear that. Lakers and Pelicans tip off at 4 p.m. right here on Spectrum Sportsnet. For the latest on today's matchup, let's get you live to New Orleans. Lakers reporter, as always, Mike Trudell, standing by with more. Hello, Mike.
Hey guys, welcome to the Big Easy, and it's good that you guys were talking about LeBron James, of course, and he had this rare chance within the season to get about 5 days in between games that he played, and that has to be good news for him in the way that you're going to see him come out tonight. And then an additional update, Talen Horton-Tucker is available. We know that he's been dealing with a sprained ankle that's been bothering him and causing him to miss games in the last couple of weeks, so both of those guys available. Now, the one guy that we're not sure about just yet is Dwight Howard, who has a bit of a sore hip. I'm kind of in that groin area. Happened, really he just woke up after the Philadelphia game, and he played about 28 minutes, was really effective, but did have some soreness, so he's working out before the game on the court, and he'll be a true game time decision. Now, for Frank Vogel, just wanted to know, how does he coach ahead of this game? We know the additional stakes with the potential play-in matchup, and with the Spurs closing fast after they beat New Orleans in this building last night. So here's how Vogel took that question a couple moments ago.
Yeah, we talk about that it's a big game because of what it means in the standings and the tiebreaker and whatnot. But the bigger priority is obviously how we're playing down the stretch. We want to be a team that catches fire at the right time, and our habits are the most important thing to be focused on, and the results will take care of themselves.
I don't know how close LeBron or THT were to not playing, but we always hear coaches say, or players will say, oh, if it was a playoff game he'd go, but you're managing it in the regular season. I'm just wondering, does this game have those stakes where it's like you treat it like a playoff game in terms of how you coach it, how your players, if a guy was close to not playing, he would go in this kind of game? Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say, because both of those guys, I think would be ready to play if it weren't a head-to-head type of matchup like this. So that's tough to say.
And then along those lines, here's Kyle.
Thanks for the intro. We talked about Russ and sort of his on-court rhythm the last couple games, but in terms of your morning meetings or practices, has anything about his approach changed as the stakes kind of become clearer for these last couple games?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been locked in. I think he's settled in over the last few weeks. Without really naming a starting point, settled into a nice rhythm. And I think we all have a belief of what he's going to bring to our team down the stretch, and he's super locked in. In terms of not just playing at a high level, but being really engaged in everything we're doing, and having that late season or playoff type of focus. Yes.
All right, guys, so there's Frank Vogel, and I know it's no surprise to Frank Vogel that Brandon Ingram is going to make his return tonight. Now, he's just to my left right now, shooting on the court, and they said he's probable, as long as this goes well, this shooting right now, he will indeed play, and expect him to start, though, on a minutes limit. And then they listed McCollum and Valanciunas as questionable, but Vogel expects that they will play, too. That simply is how it's gone this season for the Lakers. Now, I can't wait for more thoughts from Big Game James about what could happen to Coach K, but I know you probably can't get there up until the point where you actually get this victory today. But interesting to watch Carolina in this context for your Big Game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't talk till after the fat lady sings. You know what I'm saying? I love Coach K. He's a nice man, but we'll be ready. We'll be ready, but let's get past St. Peter's. That's not disrespect. I hate big leads.
Those Peacocks, they've got everyone out here a little on their toes, their edge. Thanks so much, Mike. We appreciate it. Keep it here for the Lakers and Pelicans. Zion.